Thank you for inviting me here, having me present this to you. The goal of my speech is that Pathways is sometimes a bit misunderstood. I know throughout the last year, guides have been going out to every club and presenting. However, there's still a lot of confusion, and we want to try to correct some of that because, especially with new members joining, a club like this takes in a lot of new members, and those people have to start in Pathways. So as experienced members, what we have to do is be ready to support and mentor people through it so they don't get confused and they don't get lost throughout the speech. So I'm going to go quickly a little bit about what Pathways is, and then go right into it. A demonstration, hands-on, live, so you can see what a new member going through Pathways will see, or you, when you start your Pathways, or if you have started Pathways, will see. The purpose of the handout I provided is to provide a reference for you going forward with what you see here. So it has screenshots and instructions for how to go through, so it should serve as a memory aid, calling back to this presentation, and so you know where to go no matter what stage you are of your Pathways journey. So what is Pathways? These are basically the goals. You're supposed to be able to access materials online. It's supposed to be flexible. You can choose one of 10 paths, so you can tailor your experience and what you want to get out of Toastmasters. It's self-paced, just like the current program. You do projects as often or not as you want in coordination with your VP of Education. And they've been designed to be more applicable to real-world situations. So these are the 10 paths. You may or may not know them already. I don't have time to go into them in a lot of detail, but you can look up these online. There's resources on the Toastmasters website. There's resources provided by other Toastmasters. So, you have a question?
So for beginner, which one would you recommend?
Well, that's the point of the Pathways assessment, and that's what I'm going to get to. They all start at the basics, so it doesn't matter which one you choose. They're all the same in level 1. They're mostly the same in level 2. It's only afterwards that they start to diverge.
Okay.
So yeah, it really depends on where you want to go. And yeah, as I said, there's 5 levels, so they all start here.
Okay.
They're still fairly similar at level 2. Level 3, you start getting electives, so you can really customize it to your experience. Level 4, again, required. And at the end, it's sort of a capping off project. These become more advanced, longer projects. Every project has at least one speech, and some of them have other components. So you'll notice with level 1, there's actually 3 projects. This project has 2 speeches, so there are 4 speeches, and then you get your level 1, you get your certificate, you get an award, which is in contrast to some of the other projects. Yes?
What is a project? What's an example of a project?
I'll get into that, but
Oh, sorry.
yes.
Okay.
But yeah, a project is basically an assignment that culminates in 1 or more speeches.
Okay.
And I'll go through an example of that in a second. And yes, so this is the point where we log in. I'll go to the web browser here. So how many of you have logged into the Toastmasters website? Yes? Okay, good. So I don't have to go into too much detail about that, but it's toastmasters.org. You log in up here. It'll say log in if your name isn't already up there. And then you go. They've conveniently provided this tab for Pathways.
Yeah.
So any of these will actually work, but maybe the best one is go to Basecamp. And you'll still get to the same start screen with the 3 menu options. You'll see that in the first one, step 1, access Pathways, and this is your starting point. So if you haven't started Pathways, you haven't done this step, you can't access Basecamp until you've chosen your first path. And actually, you can choose on behalf of another person if you're a club officer. But generally, you'll be choosing a path for yourself. You continue to path selection. This is where you would make a few choices. Now, most people go for Basecamp because you don't have to pay the extra fee for printed materials. And the other thing is, it only shows this because I've chosen a path already. Your second path will cost, just like advanced manuals will cost you money, but your first path is free. So if you were starting as a new member, this would say free, and this would say 0 plus the $25 material fee for the printed materials. Yes?
So then, does the member have to pay that fee to Toastmasters directly?
Yes, they'd be paying it directly if they choose the printed materials. Now, the other thing about printed materials, the choice is a little bit more limited. There's only 5 out of the 10 paths available, and you don't get to choose the electives the same way. So the only real reason you would is if you, say, don't have a computer at home or don't have internet access and you need to access them through a book. But if you have Basecamp, and even if you have occasional internet access, you can still print out the assignments as manuals if you like. But you also have the benefit of the online content as well. So most people do that, and then you take the assessment.
Prices in US dollars or?
Yeah, that's US dollars. And so the Pathways assessment, I'll try to go through this as quickly as possible, but basically, oh, you can actually skip it. I've never seen that thing before, but yes, so you can skip the assessment. I did not know that. But I mean, obviously it's recommended that you do it because it gives you an idea of what you're looking for from Toastmasters. So it'll ask you things like, which of these skills do you prioritize more, which do you use more, how do you feel confident with this skill or that skill. And the idea is you will eventually get to a screen that looks like this. And actually it looks a little bit different, and I think I show what it actually looks like on your handout. This one, you don't see it. If you do take the assessment, one of these will show up as a recommended path, yes?
Is there a mobile version of all of this, or do we have to do desktop? Because it seems really desktop like.
It does work on a tablet. Phone, it doesn't look very good, but you can use it on a tablet. It's the same website, the same interface, and it'll shrink down to a tablet. If you I tried it on a phone, it cuts off bits of the edges.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you've done your assessment, it'll recommend a path. And the other thing is, if you don't, it'll have one recommended, two that are slightly recommended, and then you'll have a button down here that says additional paths. So no matter what the assessment recommends, you can still choose whatever path you want. And I can't choose this one because I've already chosen it. So that's that. When you click on that, you will get taken back to the first screen. Again, it's different for me because I already have a path. So once you've chosen your path, you can go back here and access Basecamp. So that would bring us to step 2 on the handout. You've chosen your path, and now you want to access your project. So this is where we get into what the projects look like, what they are. And if you're a member of more than one club, you select it here, and then you click log in as member. Oh, okay. And yes, you're supposed to disable your pop-up blocker.
Security.
And now when I refresh the page, it comes up. And the first time you log into Basecamp, it gives you a little bit of a tour, so you can. I'll come back to this part later. But it's where you find members, where you can give them feedback. Instructions on how to navigate Basecamp. This is where all your projects are. It's in the thing called Education Transcript. That is where you'll probably spend the most time. Feedback, badges, so you can see badges you've gotten from other members. We'll get back to that. And evaluation resources. The other thing about evaluation resources is that you can access the evaluation resource for any project, no matter where you are in your path, no matter which path you have. And the reason for that is that if you've been assigned as an evaluator, you can print out the evaluation resource yourself. You don't need to wait for the speaker to give it to you, although it's better if they do. This way you can print it out for yourself or access it yourself online in the meeting and fill it out that way as well.
So Kenji, is the evaluation different for every project?
Yes, there's a different evaluation resource for each project. Okay, so the first thing you'll want to do in Pathways is access your projects, because this is where all the exciting stuff is. So you can click Education Transcript here, you can click, or you can click your path here. If your path will also show up here. But I'll do it this way. That way you can also see how you get to it. You'll see a list of anything you've assigned yourself. So this is the path. This is one of the 10 paths, and you'll see. You might have to click activate first. Sometimes the buttons won't say the right thing right away. You have to click activate or request. And then once you click open curriculum, then you'll get to it. So you can see here I've completed level 1 already. And level 1 has 3 projects: icebreaker, evaluation and feedback, researching and presenting. And once you're done, you click on this to request that the VP Education verifies that you've completed it. Now, you'll notice there's 3 projects. This project has 2 speeches, so there's 4 of them. Yes.
Can you repeat what you just said?
There are
the VP Education.
the VP Education. Once you click on this, it sends a request to the VP Education to confirm
At the end
that
of
you
the
completed the
level
level.
1.
Yes. So this is where you would click. It would say verify completion. Actually, I'll show you on level 2 because
As a VPN, I have never received such a message from anybody. So
okay. Now the way it's set up, it goes to the club email address. It doesn't go to anyone's individual email address. So the club has an email address registered on Toastmasters International as the club address, and that's where all of these go to. The idea being that every club officer would have access to it. Now I know that's not the case for everyone.
Gmail one.
But I'll see if I can get in as a Basecamp manager to show you what that looks like as well. But that's the idea. You can go in, whether you've gotten the notification or not. The member can also tell you, probably should tell you, please mark this complete. So as you can see here, I'm partway through it. So if you haven't opened it yet, it'll say activate. So the first time you click activate, then you click launch. And maybe I'll actually go through one for the first time. Well, I'll just show you what each of them are. So each one has about three projects. So there's more levels in this than there are in the traditional program. The traditional program would have a manual and then a few manuals, but this has more levels because each one has fewer speeches, fewer projects. So as you can see, level 3 has one mandatory, and to go to elective projects, you click View Details, and you can pick any 2 of these electives, and there's a whole bunch of ones here. A lot of them are similar to more advanced speeches, things like using descriptive language, visual aids, storytelling. So this is where you start getting into some of the more varied and exciting stuff. So no matter where you are, you can see what all of these speeches are, but you notice I can't access or activate them yet because I'm only on level 2. So I can see what's ahead, and you can see what the projects are, but only up to here is what I can access. And so I'll show you a bit about how to navigate through them. So you click activate, click launch, and this is where you really need to pop up because this is where it comes up in a new window. And yeah, it takes a minute to load, but eventually we'll get there. And each one starts off with a screen telling you what all of the navigation buttons do. And you notice I copied it over. You probably can't read it on here, but it's a good prompt to tell you that these are the navigation instructions. You will have to increase the size of your window. It does this because it's no matter what, because you might be opening on any kind of different screen size. And on a tablet it would be full screen, but on this it's not. So there, it's a prompt that no matter what, you still have to increase it. You could press this button here, make it full size, or you could drag it with these buttons here and make it the right size. Now, there's traditional ways of navigating through it, and you can get to any chapter in the project this way. So you click begin. Okay, I guess by level 2, they assume you already know all the navigation instructions, but there is a reference at the beginning of the level 1 project. So things like using these buttons to go back and forth. You download resources like the project checklist, so you'll see a save icon if there's something for you to download. There's a quiz. So if I was doing this, I could answer the questions, but I would obviously spend more time on it. It goes through content, so you'll see information here, similar to any speech manual, so it'll tell you things relevant to the speech, this one being about listening skills. I'm not sure how you talk for 5 to 7 minutes about listening skills, but I'm sure I'll figure that out when I go through this project. And yes, there's even videos on some of them. I don't know if there's audio on here, but it doesn't really matter. It's not really time to watch the whole video anyway. Question 3, so some of them have quizzes as well. So again, that's another advantage of the online system is that it can be interactive, and some people learn better that way. Actually, if you want direction, this is how you go. Yes, that's how you pull it up. And you click next, so things scroll through. Then you get to the end of the content where it says review and apply. It asks you a few questions. And this, complete your assignment. I don't think that's quite the right one, but you're pretty close. This means you're getting pretty close to the end. It tells you schedule your vice president of education. Oh, table topics. So I guess this one would be if you get table topics master. Some of the projects, in addition to a speech, will also have a meeting role. So for example, one of them will be an evaluator. One of them might be to be a table topics master. One of them might be to be a table topics speaker. Now this is the screen you're looking for when you want to know when are you ready to give your speech, when are you ready to do your assignment. So you'll see your evaluation. you'll see your evaluation resource and print my project. So print my project is where you get it in manual form. So I want to use all the ones.
Kenji,
Yes?
to be more precise, I evaluate myself on this page.
No, this is the resource where
Who evaluates who?
the speech evaluator evaluates you. So if you download this evaluation resource, this is the point where you schedule your speech in your meeting.
You print that for the evaluator.
Yeah, you print this evaluation resource.
I understood that was me evaluating myself before and after, has nothing to do
There,
with
that's separate.
That's-
They're separate within the project. So there's both. This is what the speech evaluator uses.
Okay.
And in the path, if you go back to assess your skills before, this is what you do. This is where you assess yourself, and you go back to your evaluation. So at this point, you schedule your speech, you give your speech, your evaluator evaluates you, and then you go back onto here. It'll save your spot, and you go to the next page, which is assess your skills after. Once you've done all of that, you remember to click onto the next one. A lot of people tend to forget to come back to it, and that's why the projects don't show up as complete. But once you get to this screen, then you know you've done the project. When you close it, it'll show as completed.
Can you go back one page?
Yep.
Do you upload the evaluation of the evaluator somewhere?
That's separate. I'll show you that as well. So once you've done that, that means you've done your speech. You've done your. So you go back here. Notice this opened in a different tab. This is what it looks like in manual form, so you can print this as well if you like. It's a lot of the same content, and the evaluation resource at the end. So I'm going to go quickly back to evaluation resources. And again, you go through all of them until you complete the level. So home, and remember, you don't just click on the tab. If you click here, then you actually get to the home page or tutorials and resources or whichever. So you click down here, this is where you get all the evaluation resources. And yeah, see, it lists them all here. So whichever speech the person's doing, you would put it here. Or you click here, you can download it.
Once someone hand writes the evaluations, how does it get
Yeah.
digital?
Well, I'll do that now then.
Yeah.
But it is an optional component.
Oh, we don't have to.
No.
We just do that one page where one to 5 and that's it.
Yeah, once you've done that is really all you need to do. If you do want to do it, what you would do is you would search for the member. So I could search for, say, actually no, sorry, you do your own. So you go to your own account, click on the profile, ePortfolio, and then documents. So if you click here, and you can file them. So if you go there, you can click add file.
So you gotta scan it.
You scan it and then upload it.
That's a lot of work.
That
Yeah.
is a lot of work.
It is, but yeah, it's only really for your reference, so you don't have to carry all these evaluations around in your folder. You can refer to them at any time. So, I mean, yeah, there's no timeline to do it. It's just whenever you feel comfortable doing it.
So-
You see, I've only done one, even though I've done 4 projects.
Super
Yeah.
Toastmaster.
Sorry, so the page where we put the evaluator's evaluation
Mm-hmm.
is just a 1 to 5. Like we choose 1 to 5 according to what he said. Can you go back
Yeah.
to the evaluation page?
Yeah.
From the evaluator, not from me?
From the speech evaluator, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So go to say the one I was just looking at. Launch, and it shows up here. Yeah.
No. In the past, you know.
Oh,
when
in
you have
the
errors.
project. Okay. So if you go back to the project. Yes.
Before that,
Yeah. This
so
one.
this is where.
That's the same thing.
It's the same thing. So if you click on here, you'll get the same thing.
That's just a different.
So 1 to 5, what's this?
This is just telling you what the criteria are.
So we don't have to choose 1
No,
to 5.
those you don't choose. It's just telling you 5 is exemplary, 4 is excels,
But there's
so on.
nothing to click on.
No.
That's for every single speech then.
Yeah, every single speech will have a page that looks like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just pick
But
whichever
so
one.
the evaluation is not recorded nowhere.
It's
It's
not.
just my own me
Yes,
saying.
it's just for your own reference as a speaker and a Toastmaster.
But the evaluator, let's say they do a speech.
Yeah, the evaluator will know they'll evaluate it. They'll give their
But
evaluation
we have to bring
presentation.
on.
So technically, we could still do this to keep
Yeah,
it simple.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, every club I know of still does something like that.
Yeah.
Can you though, because aren't you then looking at different factors?
Yeah.
Because the
Well,
policy
it-
itself have a
that's-
different.
Well, then you gotta
That's
print
what
out
anyway.
25
No, but
evaluations.
it's just the evaluator can look at that project, but
Yeah.
everybody else can evaluate.
Hold
it.
on.
Yeah.
So for every single project
Mhm.
and every single speech within the project, there are different evaluation
Yes.
criteria.
Yes.
So technically, someone doing a speech would have to print out
Yes.
evaluation forms,
Yes.
every different
Well,
ones.
you could, but that's, I mean, no one prints out 20 CC manuals.
Yeah.
The evaluator rates you on the CC manual, everyone else evaluates you on the
Yeah.
club's form.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
And then
I
you
have
just
a
look on the
question.
back
Yeah.
and you see what
So-
it is.
Huh.
Someone designed this system, right?
Yes.
And someone provided training. So what they said, like how you're supposed to evaluate it, like as a group.
No one covers that because that's a club practice. It's not part of the education system.
Oh, okay.
And we know you didn't write this. We
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
appreciate you being here. Just to get clarity,
Mhm.
when someone does a speech from the Pathways,
Yeah.
from what I'm hearing, they're only going to get one evaluation based on exactly their objectives, and everyone else is going to evaluate a general impression of the speech.
Yeah.
Correct? There is one more option actually.
Print out 25 evaluations.
Online?
There is another way of online. It's not an evaluation form, but there is another way of providing feedback. And that's what I was going to get into quickly because a lot of people forget about this one. But you can find members of your club through this search function. So if I search here, search for someone I know is in my club, so the name comes up. The other thing you can do is provide feedback.
You have to go home and do this.
Yeah, this you would do at home. So it's a bit inconvenient. I'm just saying it's possible.
You
People,
could do it on your phone.
yeah, you can do it on your phone. You can do it, and the other thing is you can give them a
Yeah, what if
badge.
you don't have data on your phone, right?
Encourage
But
us.
I think the important part here is to know what you're evaluating against when they're giving the speech, right?
Yeah.
Because you know what to look for and what to record. And if you don't have that when they're giving the speech, the likelihood of you remembering it after they've given the speech is
Yeah,
very
very
this is
low.
interesting. Huh.
Yes.
This is where we've hit our roadblock, I believe,
Yeah.
because we were on the impression that it's always been about evaluations, but
Yeah.
based on what I'm seeing, this is not about evaluations
It's
at all.
No. It's
One
about
person
feedback.
evaluating is not what we do.
I mean, I know some clubs do a round robin evaluation. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
With the books.
I'm just talking
when
about-
we
yeah.
had the books, it was
Yeah.
all about the evaluation.
Yeah.
You know, you-
Everyone's
everybody
evaluating the same
evaluated
thing.
the same, exactly the same thing.
Yeah. So whoever's doing this,
Now it's not like that. It's different.
We'll have to work with
what's
it.
yeah? I guess what's the difference? Because you give your speech, and everyone who gives, say, an icebreaker will have the same icebreaker evaluation, and then you have that as well.
An example would be number 6, vocal variety. Everyone in the club is evaluating the person's vocal variety.
Yeah.
But if someone shows up doing a pathway and
Yeah.
only one person's evaluating that pathway and everyone else is just looking at
Because
this
we don't do
generic.
this anymore. This
Yeah, everyone else is evaluating based on that.
You're right.
Yeah.
So the only person doing a speech technically is only going to get one evaluation based on what they're
The
doing,
evaluation.
not the benefit of the whole club.
Probably not.
Well, you can still. I mean, they're two separate
feedback.
things.
You get feedback.
Yeah, you still give them feedback. I mean,
Like I'm
we
still
still do that with.
But you know what I'm
pathways.
saying, right? Like it's not directed at what they're talking about.
No.
It's separate, yeah.
Or the Toastmaster in the email says that this speech will be this objective. Like my speech last week with Mary was
Okay.
use data, do research.
Mhm.
That was my objective.
Yeah.
The path.
Yeah,
Research.
yeah. The research
She
thing is presented.
evaluated me on this. She knew.
Yeah.
You didn't know. You
What's-
didn't evaluate
Okay,
me
we'll
on
work
this.
with it. We'll figure it out. I just want to make sure we understand
I mean,
it all
yes,
correctly.
Sometimes you might need to explain that before, but yes.
The email
I mean, even in the
was-
current program, you'll have
the
different
Toastmaster
projects with
said
different
what
objectives,
to
and you maybe try to express that. Like it's interpretive reading or
Must be a little
something.
bit more effort now. I've
Yeah.
done it with more.
Yeah. So yeah, the evaluator would have to
Maybe the evaluator says.
says to explain. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have the evaluator give a little introduction before the speech on the
Yes.
objectives, right?
Yeah, yeah, of
They
course,
can.
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. The person's gonna do this. Yeah. Exactly.
We'll
Okay.
figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Let's see. Is there anything I missed on here? So you've gone through the whole project. You've seen it. You've seen 3 projects per level.
That was the best explanation I've seen to
Yeah,
date.
yeah.
Thank
And
you.
you've seen how to get to a profile,
Yes.
The
feedback.
first one, it was a bit confusing. Yeah. You did it.
You've seen the evaluation forms. You've seen how to request a level completion.
How many do we need to do to complete one level?
Depends.
So yeah, level 1 is 4 speeches in 3 projects. Level 2 is 3 speeches in 3 projects, and they're all after that similar. They're about 3 projects per level.
And the speech in this case is not your typical speech. It could be any evaluation. Like that's considered a speech.
That would be in addition, like a meeting role plus a speech.
I see. Okay.
So some projects are more than just a speech, but some are, again, just a speech, basically. And the other thing I'll try to do, if I...
Do you have a project that's almost complete, like yours?
Well, I was showing you on mine,
That's
right?
underway? How do you close it to go to the next?
Let's see if I... Where is motivations? Let's see what happened to that active listening project. Does it mark it complete? Not yet.
25%.
Well, it says 25% through the path because I've done one level, plus a speech. So if I launch this, and I go all the way to the end, I'm gonna see if it does this. If I go to the end and close it, and actually close it. So if I go to assess your skills after, congratulations. If I close this, this is what should trigger it to say it's complete. Although I haven't done any of the quizzes, so maybe it won't. Yeah, no, it won't. You have to actually do both assessments. But then it would say complete. It would look like this, where you could launch it again, you could access the content again, but it gets marked complete. See, because I haven't done all the speeches, this doesn't show up. But if I was completed, it would say request completion, and you've done that. It says. So the only thing I wanted to cover was this little piece down here. If you were ever a VP Education or another backup Basecamp manager, which is the president, VP Education, or secretary, you can do this. Now, the only thing I'm saying is that I'm the VP Education of this club, but it's not letting me log into the Basecamp manager, so something must be wrong.
Okay, so an executive has to approve the completion.
Yeah,
So that means nobody has completed anything.
I guess, unless their president or secretary has done it for you. But yes, that's basically it. And then the other thing is you have to do it on Basecamp and you have to do it on Club Central. So doing it on Basecamp is like signing the manual, and then doing it on Club Central is like actually submitting the award to TI, where you get the Distinguished Club credit for
So
it.
after one level,
After one level, yes, you get.
you do the on TI?
Yeah, you do it on here and on Club Central, and then you get points for it, which I don't really see here. But again, most people don't need to see what the Distinguished Club dashboard looks like. So I think that covers at least the basics of how to get in, do what you need to do, and get the projects done. So on that note, are there any further questions? No? Good. Covered it all? Great.
Yes.